Millions of Filipinos are suffering from involuntary hunger. The latest SWS survey shows 7.6 million Filipino households experienced hunger from July to early September. The reason? Lack of food to eat. Amid this pandemic and in the wake of strong typhoons, how is the government and private sector addressing this pressing concern? Well, with us this morning is Cabinet Secretary Karlo Nograles. He is the chair of Task Force Zero Hunger. Good morning, Secretary. So glad you could join us.
Good morning, Ria. Magandang umaga rin po sa lahat ng nanonood ngayon.
Okay, Secretary, could you first tell us how serious exactly is the hunger problem in the country right now?
Well, if you look at you mentioned already the SWS survey, no? Na ayon sa SWS, 30.7% ng ating mga pamilyang Pilipino ay nakaranas ng gutom for the past 3 months last September. And we're still awaiting what the next SWS survey results will bring us. But there are also other indicators like the Global Hunger Index puts us at 19.0. A score of 19.0 brings us to a moderate level of hunger, pero medyo sagad na yun sa almost na sa sa severe food hunger, no? Dito sa Global Hunger Index. And then meron tayong ibang ginagamit ng gobyerno, but it was a 2019 food insecurity survey na ginagawa ng DOST FNRI, and that puts us at above 50% food insecurity among households. These are all indicators that show us our level before COVID-19 pandemic, no? So that's pre-pandemic, and we have yet to measure what our indicators show us during this pandemic. The next expanded National Nutrition Survey will come in 2021. But according to World Bank, the United Nations, we can expect about 10 to 15% increase in the number of undernourished children, in the number of families who experience hunger due to this pandemic. So yan ang inaabangan namin, yung SWS survey, whether it will grow up or down. But because of these sunod-sunod na mga typhoons, sabi ko nga, I won't be surprised if we don't improve our numbers sa SWS surveys. Then in 2021, magkakaroon na expanded National Nutrition Survey ang DOST, FNRI, and we'll see what our food insecurity levels are, and I'll have a new assessment on the Global Hunger Index ng Pilipinas.
Yeah, definitely something that we need to keep an eye on. But as we know, hunger is a systemic problem. What are the other factors you're looking at, and why exactly is hunger prevalent in the country? What are the pain points?
Actually, kung isipin mo ang problema ng kagutuman or hunger, it'll blow your mind, literally, no? Malulula ka, hindi mo alam kung saan ka mag-uumpisa. So kami sa Task Force Zero Hunger, ang ginawa po namin is gumawa po kami ng roadmap, no? This is what we call our national food policy, which basically outlines ano ba mga priorities, ano ba mga components ng hunger na kailangan natin hanapan ng solusyon. So we've actually identified 6 key result areas. Key result area 1 looks at our policy environment, the laws, regulations, issuances, executive orders, even treaty obligations that have to do or deal with hunger. Number 2 is basically rural poverty. No, we have to look at how are our farmers and fishermen in terms of their food production. Because if you want to really solve the problem of hunger, kailangan pataasin natin yung production ng ating food producers, which is basically our farmers and fisherfolk. But also, not just increasing their productivity, we also have to increase their income. Because the irony of ironies, kung sino pa gumagawa ng pagkain, sila pa yung nakakaranas ng kagutuman. Dahil sa mataas na rural poverty rate and incidence natin, and all indicators show that it's our farmers and fisherfolk who really suffer food insecurity, no? And that's the irony of ironies. Number 3 is malnutrition. We have to end all forms of malnutrition, particularly for pregnant women and for children under 5, and obviously children under 2 is a top priority here. Then number 4 is accessibility. Do we ensure that the food that is produced sa mga kabukiran, sa mga kanayunan natin ay nakakarating sa merkado? Is it accessible and safe hanggang sa pinakababa na talipapa sa mga purok ng barangay? But we also understand obviously that kahit na maraming pagkain, kahit na mura ang pagkain, there's food price stability, meron pa rin tayong mga kababayan na sobrang hirap na hindi makakabili ng pagkain. So dapat meron tayong government interventions para dyan. Number 5 is really sustainability. Is everything that we're putting in place sustainable? Are we resilient, especially during times of calamities and during the times of pandemics? Meaning to say, kung may disruptions man sa food cycle, mabilis bang tumugon ang gobyerno? And lastly, and for me most importantly, is really people participation. No, it's not government's kumbaga problem alone. It's the entire country. It's the entire world. So what we really need is people participation, meaning to say those in the private sector, the academe, civil society, non-profit organizations, everyone coming together, including ordinary Filipinos helping other Filipinos. Everyone must come together to help solve this problem of hunger. And that's why we have this movement, which we like to call Pilipinas Contra Gutom.
Right, it is absolutely everybody's responsibility. Maraming salamat, Task Force Zero Hunger Chair, Cabinet Secretary Karlo Nograles.